The couple of things I wanted to go over tonight was how to put tabs in, which are now be called, I guess they're going to be called bridges in Lightburn 9.15. It hasn't come out yet, but to do it right now, you have to use the perforation button, which I didn't even know existed until I started trying to do this. And I'll show everybody where it is as soon as I figure out how to do it. Post disabled participant sharing. Hey, Travis, enable my screen sharing.
Yeah, sorry. I was just checking my version. You know, you said we are finding that button in the. You said we were finding that button in.
The perforation button?
Yeah, in 15, and I had 14.
So you what?
I had 14, and then I said check for updates, and it said you have the current version.
Right. So 15 hasn't come out
yet. I see. Okay.
So now I'm going to share my screen if Travis will let me. Here we go.
I think you should be able to.
Okay. All right. So, did you guys see my Lightburn screen?
Yes.
The only problem is these things up here can't show you what I want because they're stuck on the other side. Here we go. All right. So this is a. Oh wait, a scroll saw pattern. Just for Travis. That came out, and it's a fake plane because it's about 4 different things glued together. The guy that Steve Good put it together, and I changed some of the markings on the side, changed the colonel's name on here. Well, it didn't have a name on there. You got to have a name under the cockpit, so I put that there. But I wanted to keep it all in a card like we were making last year. We made the reindeers that popped out of the little cards.
Yeah.
And I wanted to keep it like that. Gary wants to use it at our sale. I wanted to just use it to hand out to people. So just to give you guys an idea of my color scheme, you can see over here on the side. I don't know if I can get this bigger or not. Make the letters any bigger. So I have this up over here as Phil. It's my laser logo, and it's turned off. The output has to turn back on. We'll turn it back off. The blue for the Colonel James Knighton. Trivia question: anybody know who Colonel James Knighton is? No Army Air Corps guys, huh? He was the most decorated Tuskegee Airman during World War II. So that's Phil. The pink around are just really light scoring, and then the black is set to cut, and the green is set to cut. And the reason I distinguish between the black and the green is the green I wanted tabs put in so that it would the wing and the body, those pieces would stay in. I didn't care if these pieces here fell out because they're just there. But so the way you do it is, for right now, can't make this any bigger. I don't.
Alan, are you about to show us that you can put tabs in with 9.14, but that in 9.15 it'll show up as an additional tool on the sidebar?
So from what I understand, looking at the forums, there will be between the node edit and the alphanumeric button, there's going to be another symbol put in there that gives you the capability to add tabs, bridges, whatever you want to call them, little spots where it quits cutting.
But are you showing that to us now?
I'm going to show you how to do that right now without that feature. Okay? And and it's abusing something else. So if you go to any of your line cutting modes, right here it says Perforation Mode. What this was made for was making card rip off things on paper where you put the perforation across. That's what this mode is for. So it takes a line and it puts a bunch of however long. So right now I'm telling it to cut for 25 millimeters and then skip every 25 millimeters. It will skip half a millimeter and then go on cut again. So it's on the green layer. So if you go up here and you look at the green layer, we're going to look right here. I'm going to zoom in right here. Okay. Now I'm doing that. So you can see right here, there's no perforation or there's no bridge or tab. But if I highlight it and I go up here, whoops, showing it in the wrong window again. Come up there. So that you can see what I'm going to cut, and I zoom in to that same area. You can see, look, it skips.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Every 25, and I can change that with these measurements right here. I can make it more. I found that half a millimeter was a really good punch out size. It holds it in, but it doesn't. If you go to a millimeter, it rips the wood out when you pump.
Alan, that is so nice. You know how many iterations I had to go to get that reindeer to
No,
hold in?
I was doing the same thing.
Oh,
So
you can just change the number there, and the spacing will change all across the line.
right, but the problem with this is, unlike, hopefully the bridging tool is going to be a little smarter than this. I can't tell it where to start or stop
Yeah.
that line. So if you look, when I go back up here, zoom in, look, there's one right here. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't want one right there. You know,
Right.
there's places of them, like right here. I don't need two in here.
Right.
It would be cool to have one right here and then one here and one here. So I'm hoping that when we use the bridging tool that we're going to get, it's going to give us the capability to put those bridges or tabs where we want them.
Yeah.
So hopefully in the next week or so, this will come out and we can have like version 2 of this at the end of the month and come up with what we're something that's better that we'd like.
Yeah.
So one thought I have on that is that if you're skipping it, it's going to completely turn the laser off, right?
Yes.
So are you going to have your full 3mm thickness wood right there to try and snap through?
Yeah, but that's why I used a half a millimeter. It works really good. I
was particularly thinking about the reindeer because I think Travis had done something sneaky there where it actually cut like halfway through the wood on the tabs. So you get a really clean cut, really clean snap.
Yeah.
Through trial and iterations that were just driving people, driving me crazy. It'd be nice if we could just change the way Alan has here to from 0.5 to 0.75 to 1 millimeter or whatever.
But in what David's saying there is, I understand exactly what he's saying is you don't get a score across that dead zone. But what you could do, David, is you could put another layer on top of that green layer.
Yeah, duplicate it and do it light.
And then just do it, at like 10% power or something like that. So it just just scores it enough at the top.
Yeah.
I think that would give pretty good results.
Yeah, I try on this one. For some reason, I tried. Started out with 50 here, in between, or 50 millimeters in between the perforation, and it just they didn't work out as well where they aligned in on the airplane and the wing. So I went smaller, and it makes more of them, but it didn't put them in the wrong places.
But Alan, you chose a number, and then you inspected the entire path to see if you ended up with situations you didn't like, and then iteratively went back. You changed the number.
Yeah, and it's called swag. It's that scientific wild ass guessing. It works quite well. But the end product is, I have to turn off I have to stop sharing this, right? To go back to here. So this is the end product. And if anybody wants the pattern, I'll upload it to the Google Drive.
That's pretty cool.
So
Alan, can you show us if you have one that's maybe already been popped out? Do you have one that you could just show us how easy it is with thumb pressure to?
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay, never mind.
All I've got is the ones I've got to make for Gary for the.
That's fine. That's fine.
The sale. I did that, and then this is my. So this is a good segue. Does anybody have any questions? I mean, any more? Travis is full of questions, but.
Well, I actually wanted to just comment that one of the things I really like about this kind of a project that Alan has done is that when you gift that to somebody, they may not consider themselves an assembler of product. They may not consider themselves a woodworker. They may not consider themselves somebody who has like spatial relations and can make things. But you give them that gift and they pop it out, and there's only a certain number of steps to getting it assembled. It's a gift of making. It's a really nice idea, and it comes in such a tidy form. You know, the card. I really like it.
Yeah, I found a couple more reindeers for you too.
No more reindeer.
So you can spend hours. I won't. Putting tabs in these or something. Randy knows what. Randy saw them. They came out today. So then instead of being like 3 pieces or 4 pieces, what the reindeer we have is this one's like 8 pieces.
Is this from that good guy?
Yeah, that good guy.
Yeah. Okay. I can't remember his first name.
Steve.
Steve. Yeah.
So they but I've got that one. I've got a couple of others, so I can put them up on the website too. But any other questions about how to use the perforation? And I played with it on paper too. It works really cool with paper. You know, if you want to make, tear off sections of forms or whatever you want to do, you can do it. You don't have to go spend a lot of money for Avery labels anymore. You can just, I made a couple, and then I played with Word enough to put boxes in it. So like you can make business cards or whatever you wanted, and you just go run the stuff through the laser. You can run it through 3 sheets. I was running 3 sheets at a time, and it was doing fine, cutting a perforation there. And then I just top loaded it in my printer and printed, and it came out really good. So.
Did you say you'd think you'd see 9.15 this month, July?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so. He said it's in beta already. So if it's in beta, he's pretty good about getting stuff out in a hurry.
Yeah.
He believes in that whole DevOps thing. You develop it, you send it out. If it's broken, you put a patch out immediately.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great way to do it. You get more things out faster that way.
I have wondered if you look at the naming schema he has, it's specifically 0.9.14. Like, I'm wondering if he's asymptotically approaching 1.0, like he's never actually going to get there.
There may be, if he's still in a, I don't know what's the 3rd stage of testing. there, because if he ever goes to version 1, then maybe he has a different, it puts him in a different tax bracket.
Yeah, right. Right.
I don't know. So if nobody has any questions about this, does anybody have any cool things they've made in the last month that they want to show?
I'm waiting for Sam. I'm waiting for Sam to say he has.
I have not this month.
Boy, that ended that conversation quickly.
Wine boxes.
Wine boxes. I got lots of wine boxes. So.
Yeah, I have something I saw, which I think is kind of fun to share. It's not Lightburn, but it's laser. I bet you David would like hearing about this. The latest version of VCarve Pro from Vectric, the people who make our CNC software. The latest version of VCarve Pro has a $49 laser module add-on. And so that's all well and good. You know, they're just tinkering in laser. But what's cool is that you can do a 3D carve. So imagine a 3D carving of, say, a lion's head, which typically wouldn't yield a lot of detail that you could properly appreciate. But then you can laser right on top of that. If you have one of the many versions of mills plus tack-on diode laser, that combination is something that people like, Howard Boehm, one of our members, has. It's a nice, inexpensive way to get the laser into your shop if you didn't own one, but you do own a CNC. Now, since it knows the distance between X and Y for the tip of the end mill compared to X and Y for the tip of the laser, it knows exactly how to shift and therefore positions the laser etching or scoring right on top of where it did the cutting. And I've only seen pictures of it, but it's pretty compelling to do a 3D carving and then layer on laser etching, scoring, whatever. Kind of a neat combination.
Do you know if it handles the Z as well for focusing? Because if you're already milling it, it's going to have some Z distance that's in there.
It's a good question. I don't remember seeing that talked about, but it's interesting to realize that it does have the ability to do Z if they had built it in. So I'm now pretty curious, because unlike all of ours, which, you know, you can't move Z quickly enough to do anything, even on, most of us have manual for the Z, and the shop has powered Z, but it's nothing anybody can trust. So you couldn't really do Z dynamically, but a CNC mill, heck, it does Z. It's part and parcel of the tool. So that's a really interesting idea, David. I'll go check.
So do you have to touch off your laser?
Do you have to touch off your laser? No, you do not have to touch off your laser. You better measure it once, though, to make sure you're in focus.
So was their use case to try and add like darkness to the carving, or more to add additional detail that you couldn't get with your bit?
The pictures that I looked at made me think that at least the instances they were showing us were to add contrast and therefore reveal detail. So I do know that it can do etching as well, though, because in separate exercise that I remember reading about and seeing some pictures associated with it, it did do etching. But I was most captivated by this lion's head, which you can immediately see if you go to the website, vectric.com. It's the image that they use to tout the new laser feature. Anyhow, I just thought that hybrid of the two tools in one, which for the longest time didn't really impress me, because a diode laser is just kind of a little wimpy. But if you're only thinking in terms of scoring and etching, a diode laser will do that just fine. You know, there are many, I bet you half the people or more on this call have an Autour 15 or 20 watt laser, in addition to what other laser they have. And if you think about how little you've used it for cutting, with good reason, it doesn't cut, and how good it is at etching and scoring, it seems to me like it is a good combination and a powerful enough diode laser to marry with a CNC head, especially if you can get software that allow them to work together. And that's really, I think, what they're hinting at offering. I think the promise is that you will be able to do that layering of one top technology atop another. But I hadn't even thought about what David suggested, which was can you maybe even stay in focus going up and down as you move dynamically along X and Y? That's pretty neat thought.
Those guys at Light Object were doing it last year at the wood show. They had that Auto Z
Oh,
feature.
you're talking about the one that was.
Yeah.
You're talking about that head that was going up and down as it moved along.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Light Objects guys up in Sacramento. Yeah, they were doing dynamic Z like that. It was like $10,000 to get it to do that.
Yeah, they built it. It was custom built per laser or something like that. You told them what you had, and they gave you the pieces. Or they built it for you, and it was crazy. It was cool, but it wasn't worth $10,000 in my world.
So, anybody else have anything? Because I want to share another one. Help.
Well, I know my wife's been doing a lot of stuff for the kids where she does the laser and you spray it with shellac to get it to seal it. And then she paints, and you can literally swirl paint into the areas and then wipe it. And then when you finish it, it looks very, very dramatic. So it's a combination of laser burn plus multicolor. It's crazy looking. She did about 8 or 10 projects for the grandkids like that. I'm
sorry, Mark. What is she doing specifically again?
Can you not hear me?
No, I just can't think right now. Could you say it again?
Well, she cuts the patterns into the laser, but then she shellacks them so that the wood doesn't absorb any of the paint. And she's able to hand brush 5 or 6 colors and fade between colors, and you just wipe off the excess, and then she sprays the final coat of shellac on it, and it ends up with these multicolor designs they just pop like crazy. They're amazing.
So is it engraved? Is that
yeah, exactly, Sam.
You engraved some depth.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Excellent.
If Mark had a camera, he could show us that.
I got a camera, but I don't have. The problem I have is Travis knows every time I get something cool, it's like mailed off to the grandkids.
It doesn't stick around long.
It doesn't stick around.
You have to ask him to take pictures of it right then and there, quickly before it's gone.
So, you know what? I think she has some. I can get some for the next one of these to show you.
Cool.
We did a bunch of 4th of July coasters she passed out to the neighborhood. So.
Yeah, there was a this laser CNC had free. One of those anyway had free coasters.
Yeah, and then he had 4 other ones you can buy.
Yeah.
He's fairly cheap for $1 a coaster piece. We probably did 200 coasters and distributed them around the neighborhood.
So I found a lot of laser special interest groups on Facebook, and there's a couple of guys on there that they have lasers, but they don't use their laser as much as they make patterns. And one guy is like a graphic artist guy. I don't know what he uses, but his designs are so crisp and such high resolution that it's not just a picture he slapped on something and made whatever it is. However he makes them, they're really great. And he's made some of those. So the Aztec calendars that I had, the one with Darth Vader, and there's another one with Homer Simpson and stuff. He's made some like that. They're not really Aztec calendars, but they're multiple pictures on one tile. He made one for healthcare workers for COVID and stuff like that, and they're really nice and they're very crisp. I'll see if I can find one of those, and he'll let anybody have them as long as they don't sell them. He says that's his biggest thing. He doesn't want anybody selling his patterns or selling the stuff that he makes. He wants everybody to give it away.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, most of what we do, we give away anyways. But my biggest problem is I can't find time on the laser. I have to schedule it 6 months in advance. My wife has it commandeered.
So, guys, I don't know if you got the gist of what Mark was really saying when he was talking about 200 coasters. He's found a way to bribe his neighbors to live with the noise that comes out of his shop.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Do you guys remember Sabar Media? That was the guy who has like 200 videos on the
That's-
Chinese lasers.
That's Russ?
Oh yeah, I watched quite a
Exactly,
few of
Russ.
them.
Yeah.
So, you know, Russ has spent the last 5 years building all of these videos. And each time he was saying to himself, I've bought this really economical laser, but it's really not a great laser. Instead, it's a laser that has a challenge here and there and here and there. And he spent all these years figuring it out and improving upon it. And so he has projects galore. This is something that actually I shouldn't have bought because unlike Sam, I didn't look at it closely enough. This is a little piece of hardware that allows you to mechanically shift your head in both the Z and the Y axes so that you can better position your laser for the middle of the mirror. So just an example, piece of hardware. And in order for him to get this made, he has been developing a relationship with Cloud Ray, which is one of the big suppliers of lasers and laser pieces, etc. He has done so many little projects. Here's another one. It's a later version of what he did. It's just a box with a whole bunch of parts, but now he accommodates many variations on the first item that I had, because you can mount the laser head on the linear rail in a variety of different ways, and the new kit accommodates everything that the old kit couldn't. And the reason I'm telling you all of this is because he said in a video like 2 or 3 weeks ago that he's come to the end of the road. And then he had cautioned everybody, don't be worried, I'm not going to stop making videos. I've come to the end of the road of what I can do to improve upon this machine. And he said that when he came to that conclusion, he was talking to Cloud Ray about it, and he'd been negotiating with Cloud Ray behind the scenes. And what Cloud Ray wants to do is take all of the learnings that Russ has gone through for the past 5 years and build them into the Chinese laser that they sell, so that it's going to have all of a sudden the precision and the quality without having to go to the price tags of things that you find like with National or Epilogue or whatever. And I just think that's going to be great, because you're going to end up paying, I don't know, some more, $1,000, $2,000 more, but you get all of Russ's learnings built into it. And it would be really, for me, very compelling. I mean, I like working on mine just because I like learning, I guess, is what it comes down to. I mean, this is my next project right here. How slowly should I open it so you guys can feel titillated or titillated by what I'm about to show you?
If it's not a new tube, I don't want to see it.
It's, no, it's not a new tube, but I got to talk to you about that separately. This right here, well, the housing itself, the housing right here, I actually printed on my printer, but this is the camera. And for the longest time, I didn't understand why
a Lightburn camera.
A Lightburn camera, exactly, for my laser. And for the longest time, I was wondering why anybody would necessarily want it. And then I saw what they were doing with very easily positioning etchings on pre-existing objects. So you calibrate it to your bed, and then you can see your bed, and you can tell it where you want the graphic to go. And it's like you're laying the virtual image onto the real world image of your object.
And this is all on Lightburn.
This is all in Lightburn, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought, wow, I mean, I don't have a use case for that right now, but that's pretty darn amazing. Right now I have to measure, you know, exactly from what corner or where I set origin, and, you know, there's just, but if I can just look at it and position it that way, it sounds really cool. Anyhow, the camera, I think, was like $69 or something like that. And then you look at how they've built the calibration routines right into Lightburn. It seems very straightforward. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I was just so pleased that we've got these Chinese lasers, that we're all curious enough to spend time learning how to fix them up, learning how they work, etc. And I don't know, I feel like I'm getting a really great education. And then along comes the culmination of it all. If Russ can get a Cloud Ray version of these things for $1,000 or $2,000 more, and it has all his learnings built in, I may have come to the end of my tinkering road. I'll just buy the thing so I can just use it, you know? But if you guys hadn't seen that video, it was like 2 or 3 ago, I was really kind of intrigued by it all. And I just wanted to share that with you because I've learned a lot from him over the time, all the way from the very early days when I learned about the molly spray that you could spray onto metal. And then with the laser's heat, you could do discoloration on steel. And so as a way of etching on metal. I remember some of his earliest pictures of actually, David, you remember the whole early stages of grayscale. And a lot of the stuff I saw in the very beginning was from his work. He's just such a generous spirit. The guy is retired, he sold his business, and now he tinkers. And yet he bothers to make these videos for the whole world to watch. And I don't know, I really appreciated what he's done for us.
Hey, you know, one thing that Russ, watching his video, that it seems like when you etch, you don't want the air to be as strong, right? The air assist. And he even built a thing that automatically turns down the air when you go into etching mode, non-cutting mode, and it also turns off the air pump when he's not doing anything automatically. And and the kit is all for sale on CloudRay.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I don't remember the logic.
But you know, I always have my air assist on when I'm doing etching, and it seems like, am I missing something? You know?
Yeah, I don't remember the logic for that, but I do remember that Alan occasionally turns his water flow pump off just to see what happens. What happened, Alan?
Do, you know, and I found out what happened. And now I'm better for it.
Well, you are actually. It sounds like you got a great tube.
So, I don't know why you would. I actually bought a bigger compressor to put on mine.
Well, and David gets 20 fans.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah, I've got to have the airflow.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why you would want to turn your airflow off. There's got to be.
I do remember him doing that though, and I remember he had a reason for it. I just can't remember what it is.
The only thing I can imagine, if you're doing a really light edge that's just toasting it as opposed to trying to cut anything at all, then I suppose the airflow could cool it off to the point that you're not getting the darkness you want. But if you're removing material and there's particulate and smoke, I find that if there's low airflow, it tends to just settle right on the surface of the wood next to where you're etching.
Maybe cross flow is better in that case.
That's true, yeah. With my extra fans, it is cross flow.
It is cross flow, yeah,
right.
yeah. Has everybody seen David walk in and set up for one of his cuts? He pulls out the first fan, the second one's attached to it, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. He lays them all out in a row. I know I'm exaggerating, Dave, but it's really kind of amazing the lengths to which you went and the results that you got from those efforts.
That's accurate. It's 6 fans.
I was trying to let you off easy, man.
Actually, I was going to put 4 fans in mine to blow across, because right now I opened the door, you know, to let the air flow in and flow across, but it doesn't flow exactly the way I want it to.
Yeah.
And so I was going to do the David thing, and I was only going to get 4 fans though, but
the David thing.
My V2 plan had always been to get the server fans, the 40mm ones that are really small height-wise, and just get a ton of them in a row, so that you can have just low profiles. You don't have to worry about the gantry hitting them or anything.
I hope you guys all feel the way I do. I'm so glad David is a part of our community.
Incidentally, I have something I can share right now.
Good, but you need a camera, right?
No, share my screen.
Oh, okay.
Will you allow it?
Yeah, I think it's right now set up for multiple people, so go ahead.
Oh, let's see if this works. Entire screen? Oh, why is it not working? What to do here?
Sam, have you ever been there, or is that just like your aspirational destination?
Copenhagen?
Right.
Yeah, I've been
see?
there. I took this picture.
I see me. Am I supposed to see me?
All right. So I'm going to show the before and after of my pandemic haircut. That was on May 24th.
Oh wait.
So that's before.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
And there's
wow.
so.
Wow.
Well, let's show the other before. This is side view. And this was 75 days of growth. And then here's the after.
Dave, that right there, the last two, those should be a GIF.
Oh yeah, I set it up so you can go back and forth. I aligned it.
So
I shaved off the
style
beard.
is the same. It's amazing.
Yeah, I put a lot of effort into that. So this haircut was for my wife with just scissors because we couldn't find any hair clippers on the internet at all.
Yeah.
So it took a few hours, but we got there in the end.
Well, this one right here, I'd say, hey, David is back.
But yeah, side
Wow.
view. You can see the back was quite outrageous.
Yeah. There's, do many of you know who Tim Peachy is? He teaches our Fusion 360 SIG. Anyhow, if you had watched him progress, sort of springing off of David's example of what happened to his hair, he's gone crazy. His hair is like just popping out. And the odd thing is, it's not popping out like a fro. It's popping out like a giant version of a COVID virus. It's like, it's like looks just like a COVID virus. It's like crazy. Wonder if he isn't the source of all our pandemic. This is not good. Anybody else got anything? I got something. So years ago, I just thought it was really cool to think what you could do with acrylic and detail. So I wanted to do a seahorse, and you guys may have seen this in my laser class. It's let me see if I can get it. This is a little seahorse. Okay, it's really nice. I had to go through a lot of iterations to get it right, but it worked out just great. Then I started to play with different versions of the acrylic. But the reason I'm even bothering to show you this is if you get a chance to play around with mirrored acrylic, you should. I hope it comes through. Let's see. It's golden. This is a golden mirrored acrylic. And if you were able to see it in real life, because this is not doing it justice, it is just gorgeous. It just stands out as something really special. And again, it's the kind of thing you find occasionally in the bins at either San Diego Plastic or at Grid Out. But it can really be beautiful. It's a little too bad that you
What
can't
does it look like on the backside?
It's just gray. The backside is just the reflective paint. And so it's basically gold-colored acrylic, translucent acrylic, and with mirror in the back. And it works just great. So worth fiddling around with.
And there's a place that you can buy that stuff in Phoenix. I got a catalog last year at the wood show, not supplier, and it's sitting here waiting to be offloaded to the shop, and people can look through it. Yep. So what else is over there? Anything else here that's my next door neighbor's making these. Well, I'm doing the laser etching on them, but he's this is the etch on it, and he's using a maple and a maple base with walnut sides. He's making coasters out of them, like a 1/4 inch thick. So he's doing the woodwork, and I'm doing the etching on them for him. That's like the Fallbrook City symbol or something like that. What you call it.
I got a question for folks. When we put things in the laser and we have fans, but we're dealing with something light, or we want it to be flattened because it's maybe thin stock and it's warped a little bit, we typically put weights along the edges to hold it down. Has anybody experimented with these like earth magnets? They're just the regular, like large button-sized magnets, and they're so strong, and they really can flatten the stock out. So you put it on top of your 3mm ply, and it's strong enough that it actually does pull it down. So I just keep a bunch of these under my lid, and I can pull them off one at a time. But it's just a new hold down technique that I never tried until a few months ago. And other than the fact that occasionally it'll get stuck on something flat, and it's so strong, I have to
Can't get
wrestle
it
it
off.
to the ground to get it off. Yeah, but you know, if you're putting it on the other side of 3mm ply, you can easily pull it off. But
Interesting.
you guys, I'm clicking on Elizabeth. Let's all welcome Elizabeth when she gets here, okay? Hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Good evening.
Oh, Elizabeth.
Oh, Elizabeth.
No.
Oh, hey guys.
There you go.
Sorry. Just give me a
Is it the
second.
one of you? Is it you? Is it the two of you, or is it the three of you?
Just me. Just me.
you.
Yes.
Well, welcome.
Asleep now. Thanks. Robbie's at his sister's wedding. the different weekend for us.
Well, I'm glad you made it here. Alan showed us all about tabs and airplanes.
Ooh.
So, hey, Travis.
Yeah.
This is after Mark's shop tour. What's the wrong button? There. After Mark's shop tour, he had these those magnets that were for.
Oh yeah. Right.
And was holding stuff down. I found some that were like half size. And the only problem with them is they won't hold little things down because you can't get they're too tall, and the laser head hits.
Laser head touches.
Oh right, right.
But for doing, you know, if you're cutting something and you can put these around the edge
Yeah.
of a full sheet, that they do a great job.
Well, that's actually much better than what I had, because all you have to do is turn the handle.
Oh yeah,
to get it off.
Well, I went and bought some of those. It's been a year ago. I bought some the magnets from Home Depot, and they were about 2 inches in diameter, and they said 50-pound pull. They meant it.
Wow.
So you get that stuck on something, and it doesn't have a handle on it. It's just a pin.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly.
You can't.
Embarrassing to watch a 1-inch diameter magnet get the best of you. You know, you don't want to be witnesses when that
You
happens.
know, I figured it out. You just go get a putty knife,
Yeah.
and you work it in between it, and then it sticks to the putty knife. But these are like if you can find them on Amazon, they were like $10 a piece. I think there was a package of there were like 2 for $18 or something. But the bigger, the ones like they use on the table saws and the band saws,
Yeah.
those things are like $30 a piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
These, I don't know what the weight is on it. It doesn't say. It's called Mag Switch. Is the name of
Mag
it.
switch. Okay.
It's magswitch.com.
I think I gotta put that into the chat room.
And but I don't know how much they, you know, all magnets have some kind of weight thing on them, and I don't know what these are, but they're fine for. They'll go through a piece of 3mm and hold it to my. I use expanded metal as my bed, so I've got a little more metal there than the people that have honeycombs.
Yeah.
So it holds quite well for that.
I used to always.
Travis, what do you have for metal? A metal base that your magnet sticks to on your Artur? Travis, you.
So I just have a whole bunch of probably 1 inch by 1/2 inch different lengths of steel bar, and I stopped by Industrial Metal Supply up near Convoy, and it is, you just go into the scrap area, and you can find, for our purposes, all sorts of bars. So I have quite an array of just bars that. So all I had to do is make sure that they're at least similar in dimension in one way. So it looks like the one in the middle is thicker than the others, but if I turn it, it's the same thickness as the other ones. So that everything lies on a plane together. So that's the only thing you have to be careful of, is that when you buy them, you don't want just like arbitrary widths. Like right there, it looks like they're all arbitrary. But if you turn them the correct way, you can see that they're all actually the same thickness.
So then you put your wood on top of that, and then your magnet on the wood?
Exactly. That's exactly what I do. It's really weird, too, because I was really quite the fan of the honeycomb years ago. And I remember Sam and I had plenty of conversations about honeycomb. And I haven't touched my honeycomb in, I don't know, a year. I think it's because, in the end, I don't like the flare you get from underneath as the laser passes over the blades. It just was just a cluttering, messy detail that sort of showed how you had made it. It's sort of like a corruption from the tool itself. And I much preferred that there was nothing underneath it, at least for, I guess, maybe 3/4 of an inch, because by then the laser was out of focus and there wasn't any bouncing up, there wasn't anything to reflect off of, there were no flares. So I've just been using steel rods for a long time at this point. Again, that's what. Pardon?
Oh, I just had a quick question. So just to summarize, you, instead of having the honeycomb bed, you put those pieces of steel that you just showed us, those 3 underneath, and then put your material on top, and that way you don't have the material directly sitting on anything that laser cuts it?
Correct, because the way I position it is not so much underneath as along the periphery.
Okay. Okay,
so
thanks.
Underneath is nothing.
Okay,
It's
that
just
makes sense. Yeah.
on the edges. And also, I tend to buy them in matched pairs, so if I were to go into my laser and pull out more, you'd find that there's at least a second one of each of these, because if I use it to, say, support the back of my material, I want one just like it to put on top of it.
Right. Okay.
And that it's sandwiched, and it's both flattened and it's held above the bed, and it's just easier when they're matched pairs. You're not trying to figure out, what can I put on top of this one. And I mean, they're like a few dollars each time you go to industrial.
So if you're not really cheap and have to dig in the scrap bin, they're still not very expensive if you buy the stuff that's in the front of the store.
I only, Alan,
cut the size.
Alan, I only use the front of the store to get to the back of the store.
But I go to the front of the store and they have the bins all marked. It's 3/4
Very
inch
nice.
by only a 1/2 inch tall, and I don't have to dig through the cans out there in the back to figure that out.
Yeah, and frankly, they're really nicely arrayed in a box. I probably have purchased some there too. But if you want to save a buck or two,
Not for a bad thing.
right?
So Travis and everybody else, who got me thinking, I used to buy some magnets that they were small, maybe a 1/2 inch in diameter. They had a hole through the middle that had a chamfer on it, so you could put in a flathead screw that was below the surface. What you could do is take just a piece of wood, which you can get to your same size, screw 3 or 4 pieces of these small 1/2 inch diameter magnets permanently attached to the piece of wood. Then you can place that wood, your working wood, with your big strong 50-cent magnet on top of that. And you wouldn't have to get steel, you'd have these pieces of wood.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
another way of doing the same thing.
Right. When you mentioned the screw protruding through, I was reminded, going back to our conversation about Russ. Russ seems to have this preference for nail beds.
Right.
They're not necessarily nails, but they are very thin pins poking up in an array. So your piece is supported, and it is supported very evenly, but at the same time, the surface area of that support is down to a point. So you're not going to end up hitting every honeycomb wall that you go past, or reflecting off of a surface just below it. You don't actually end up hitting any surface. And I was just wondering, anybody here use that technique, using this array of upward facing pins that you layer material on?
the Boss laser that my little brother has, he's got 150 watt with oxygen assist. So he can cut like, I don't remember what it is, 20 gauge or something like that steel.
Yeah.
And that's what it looks like. It looks like saw teeth up from the bottom because you're blowing hot metal down through that one. His laser doesn't have a bottom on it. So it just blows it down onto the garage floor. But
Great.
that's exactly, and he does wood too. But that's how his is supported with those. They look more like a sawtooth that are probably, I don't know, at the base they're probably an inch wide and they come up to a point at the top.
With all due respect, Alan, you say he's your little brother, but you have a 60 watt and he has 150 watt. I think he's your big brother.
Nah. He also paid $30,000 for his laser, so you know what? I'm not gonna deal
You're
with
saying lasers are a genetic flaw in the DNA of your family?
Pretty close. Pretty close. But he doesn't do anything to his besides turn it on and off, and he couldn't fix anything. His favorite statement is, "I can't fix that. I'm just an art teacher." Right. Anyway, well, does anybody else have anything? Randy, you've got to have something to show. I'm
kidding, Randy. Come on, man.
got a whole garage full of stuff. You've been working on that carousel for so long you can't blaze anymore.
Hold on, I'll go get something.
Oh, good. Guys, if ever you have the opportunity to see what Randy has, his house is like an inventory, a warehouse of laser projects inventory. He's got like the living room filled, and he's got the dining room filled, and he's got the hallways lined up, and he does a lot of laser stuff. I doubt that it's much different from you, though, Alan. I haven't been to your place, but you probably have them all over the place too, right?
Mom doesn't like my stuff in the house because it smells like burnt wood. After you have a house burned down out from under you, the smell of smoky wood, he just doesn't get into that at all. So anything that I take in the house has to have a coat of shellac on it before it goes in.
Alan, just so people understand why it is you two are so, I was going to say obsessive about making stuff, but I mean, it's really, you just make a lot of stuff. Tell them about what you do with all the stuff you make.
All the woodworking stuff?
I mean, not for the shop, but what you guys do for fairs and stuff.
Oh, we do the Scroll Saw Club does, we hand out all these little wooden cutouts at the fair in the design and wood building. And then now, since we don't have the fair, we seem to have this abundance because people haven't had anything to do except sit at their house and saw. So we have thousands of those things we're having to store, and little cars. I don't have a little car. But anyway, we have these. I got a big car that we make. So this is a prototype.
I'm gonna get some little.
But that's our new prototype there. And it uses the laser to make the running boards on the sides.
Nice.
So,
but you and Randy also go.
Randy's been doing more fairs been doing more of the street fairs than I have. I've only got a couple.
Oh, okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah, so you got to have lots of stock for that stuff. But Randy left his pig and ran off.
Speaking of the fair, I'd seen something about how.
Oh, there you go. There's our little cars. Randy's the car king. So
yeah, we got about 600-700 of them at the house right now. I didn't make them all. I painted a bunch and I put the wheels on them, but that's a giveaway.
Yeah, the club does that. So we do it for the Operation Christmas Box. For some of the churches, they take our cars and put them in these Christmas boxes and send them all over the world. Is it a robo pig?
Now, Randy, why is it that you can do painting so easily? Tell us about that building in the back that you do all your spraying.
Oh, in my shed?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough shed. I think it's like 10 by 12 or something like that. The layers on the walls are getting kind of thick.
And that's where you do all of your coating?
All my coating I do back there.
Yeah, yeah.
That way I can go back there and spray and leave, and I don't get totally gassed out.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
What kind of respirator do you use?
Lungs?
I was using bar top lacquer for a final coat and getting it through my son because he has his own painting business. I went over to pick up some of the lacquer one time, and there was a respirator there that's got canisters on it. I said, "What's this?" He said, the guy says, "I don't know. It's on the order." My son, I called him and said, "I didn't order this." He says, "I did. Wear it."
Oh, good.
But this thing is a piggy bank. It's actually a pig. It's not laser.
Hallelujah.
But there's one thing I do. You see here on the bottom, this bottom layer, there's screw holes that keeps it in. And then the jar pulls out.
Are those magnets or are they screws that hold it on?
They're screws.
Okay.
Well, what Grandpa did to all of his grandkids was, over the screw holes, he put little felt feet.
Oh.
Tell any of the grandkids how to open it. If you don't take off the felt feet, there's no way you can get into this. So on a birthday, I give them some money and I say, okay, this much goes into the bank. My granddaughter says, "I got money, but I can't get it out." But I've got 3 different ones. There's a bear.
Are these your designs?
Huh?
Are these your designs?
Not my designs. And then an elephant.
Great.
So
but, you turn your scroll saw on occasionally still, huh?
Yes. Well, next year when we have the fair, you'll see how much I turn my scroll saw on because I will have the carousel done.
Oh, good.
I'm doing, working on modifications, putting lights in, and I'm going to try and put some music in it too.
Oh, nice.
And so it's at that point right now. I'm trying to figure out how to do all that stuff and get the lights set up right.
Well, you got a lot of time.
Yes.
So, since we're picking on Randy, if you drive up to his house, how tall is your lighthouse, Randy?
A little over 5 feet.
In his front yard, there is a 5-foot tall lighthouse that he made with in his garage. It's lights and it's all painted correctly, and it even has rocks around the base after how many years?
It does have rocks on the base now.
There you go.
I don't know if that shows very good, but there's the lighthouse with my new flagpole behind it. But it's, like I said, it's about 5 feet tall. My wife likes lighthouses, so I don't need very many big things, and that was kind of a challenge to me.
Yeah.
Because the panels, it's 6-sided, so getting the bevel on the back and then the bevel down the side also. And I should have gone just a little bit more on the bevel on the edge of the wood, because when we started putting it together, it was a little bit tight.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually has a Fresnel, I think what they are.
Oh, the Fresnel light?
Yeah.
Lens in
So
there.
the lenses that you use in it, yeah.
The lens is that type of a lens. And then I found a low voltage LED bulb that's screwed into a regular socket that goes in there. Because that's hooked up on the low voltage system with all of my landscape lights.
That's impressive. You actually have a Fresnel lens in your, wow, that's cool.
They're not cheap either.
No.
Oh, they're not.
The whole top of that framework on the metal framework, the light and everything, there's probably $200-300 there. The rest of it was $50.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have anything cool to show us?
I actually made something, yes.
All right.
Whoa! How'd you find the time?
You know, it was small bits of time over the last several weeks. So Robbie's sister is getting married tomorrow, and I originally designed their invitations, and I drew a picture of the Swedish Institute in Minneapolis, where they were going to have the reception for the invitation. And I was so excited because I thought, oh, I'm going to laser cut this for them. It's going to be great. And then the wedding got postponed to tomorrow, and they're not having a reception. They're just getting married at the Como Conservatory and Zoo at the Sunken Garden. So like my drawing is nice, but doesn't really relate to the wedding anymore. So I did a drawing of where they're getting married and then layered it. So if I'll share my screen with you and I'll show you pictures of it because Robbie took it with him.
Cool.
Let's see if this works.
You're like Alan in that way. You make things and then they disappear. Or Mark, they just disappear. Yeah,
Yep.
Mark.
I think that's gonna happen. Okay, let's see. Desktop. Oh wait, photos. Can I do that? Let's see that. Okay, just kidding. Let's see. You guys will tell me if this doesn't work, right?
Of course.
Zoom, yes. Zoom will
It's
not
on
be
top
able to
of- it's on
record
top at the bottom just a second ago.
Zoom will not be able to record the contents of your screen until quit.
Oh, yeah. If you've not done a screen sharing before and you tell it you want to do it for the first time, it requires that you quit Zoom and start it up again.
Can I do that quick?
Just do that real quickly. Just do that real quick. Come back in.
Thanks. Leave.
I think we should start a fund to raise money so that David can have a camera. Who's with me on this?
I'll just donate one of my two. Maybe he can make the one that doesn't work.
I mean, the guy's an engineer of renown. He should be able to get a camera for his computer.
Never needed one before.
That's right. You were able to show yourself through the magic of screen sharing of your photos.
Well, in the spirit of David here, I had to go back and do some digging. But that's me at the peak.
That's great. Oh, you mean that recently?
Yes.
Oh, wow. When did you get back
That's
to
quite a
college?
transformation.
That's great.
The first and only time I've had a full beard and that much mustache at one time. The wife does not like face hair, and so when the barber came back to work, it's gone.
You look like a
Very
different.
distinguished.
Okay, Elizabeth's back up and she's coming on. Okay, Elizabeth, let's try it.
Let's try it again. Thanks for your patience. Oh,
Sure.
yeah, there it is. Okay, now I'm just going to bring up this. Okay, do you see that?
I'm sorry, when you said you drew it, which package did you use?
Well, I drew it on my iPad using an app called Concepts with my Apple Pencil.
Okay,
and then
cool.
imported it into Illustrator and basically made it in the various layers. So the names are in one layer, the line work in the far back is on another layer, and then all the like garden is on another layer, and a frame is on another layer. And so this is just the method I used to use when I would make like topo maps and buildings in a laser cutter. And so I drew everything. It was a DWG, and then I exported it as an SVG so that my laser cutter could read it. It just required a bit of finagling because sometimes I have a Glowforge and it like tries to help you by like making your image readable, and it's not helpful at all because sometimes it takes what you've carefully drawn and like does something else to it. And so it was a bit of back and forth, but it worked out.
But this is really great. I'm glad I asked that question because there's a certain way that most of us have been thinking. We don't think about creating original content on an iPad with an Apple Pencil. We don't bring things into Adobe Illustrator, and we don't use the Glowforge ecosystem to produce things. So just in that one description of the tools and then the tool chain that you used in the workflow, you just took yourself into a completely different laser using experience than we typically have. And so, could you tell us a little bit more about your Glowforge? How do you like it? Does it cut what you want it to cut? I mean, what is your impression of the Glowforge?
We're getting to be better friends. I think that it is probably an amazing tool for someone that has never used another kind of laser. Because they have these materials that you can purchase from them. And when you buy a Glowforge, they send you a box of materials. They're called proof grade materials that they have little, is it a QVC code? That box? Yeah, that automatically registers. There's a camera that looks at your whole bed. And so it registers and it's like, you're using maple hardwood. And like, these are the settings for maple hardwood. And all you have to do is select cut and it will automatically set your cut and score and engrave.
It sounds like you're describing an appliance.
Yeah, it's very much like that. And so I have only made a few things. This is the most elaborate thing I've made. I've cut a few things in leather, engraved a few with like scored leather to make like a bookmark type of thing.
Cool.
And so this was like this was a good learning experience to see what more the Glowforge could do for me. But I think next is going to be exploring with my own materials like cardboard, because their materials are great. They're very nice, but they're very expensive.
Sure.
And it's just, I mean, they do make it so that you can see your power and your
speed.
Thank you. Speed settings. And so you can adjust all that. They just have a little disclaimer that says like, hey, if you're using a non-proof grade material and you set your Glowforge on fire, we can't help you. And that's understandable. And I've become a little bit more comfortable with it. So I'm hopeful.
So you're basically saying you took it out of the box.
I set it up. And I have an air filter. I mean, like, it's funny because I've been down there quite a bit recently. And Robbie's like, you're doing it. You're using the Glowforge.
Could you tell everybody about how you bought it and then you moved here and you couldn't do it and then you had the baby and everything else?
Oh yeah, I mean, we bought this in it was after we got married in 2015, October of 2015.
Oh my gosh.
And it was on like one of those Kickstarter, like get a really good deal on it. And that's why we were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I didn't even know about other laser cutters like the ones that I've seen in all of your garages that do probably more amazing work. They're less fancy. Like this is like
it took them years. It took them years to get it out, right? So when did you actually receive it?
Well, so I think we received it. I'm trying to remember. I had it sent to my work because I was so concerned that it would be sent to our apartment in New York and like something would happen to it. Like I did not want it sitting in the lobby of our apartment building. So I had it sent to my job on Madison Avenue. I had to get a zip car one night, like go and pick it up from my work, have a letter saying like I wasn't stealing from my job, but like this in fact was mine. See my address on it, like my name and everything will show my ID. It was insane because it's a very large box to receive. And I want to say, I'm trying to think like where I was sitting at the time. It was like 2.5 years later.
Yeah.
And so then we got it, and then it sat in our apartment because we didn't have the air filter. Like the air filter was supposed to come with it, and then they had issues with the air filter not working the way they wanted it to like bring it to the general public. And so it took until December of this past year, so 7 months ago, for us to get the air filter. The air filter was sent to San Diego. Yeah. And like we could have used it without the air filter. I could have set up a hose and like looked out the window, but that's where the whole like moving to San Diego and having a baby came in, where I just wasn't like setting up a laser in my garage yet. So
did you set it up in December?
No, I set it up. So this is funny. I was going to surprise Ravi and have it set up for like Valentine's Day. I thought this would be like a fun surprise. I did not think this through. This was totally stupid. Like, how did I think I was going to pull this thing out of a box myself without any help? I don't know. So then I told him like, I need your help to lift this thing out of the box. It's quite heavy. So then we lifted it out. And then I think it was Easter when I finally printed something for the first time.
Cool.
April 12th.
And so this is your most recent work here?
Yeah. So this I just finished the other day. So it's there's the the line work you see is the conservatory. That's one layer. The garden is another layer. The frame is another. That plaque is a layer on top of that. And then Malini and Owen are like, Malini is 2 layers. The and is 2 layers. Owen is 1. And that star is 1. So I think if I flip, you can kind of start to see the depth of it.
Yeah.
And I painted, so the Glowforge material comes with a nice film that protects it, so that when it burns a little hotter than you'd want if you didn't have that film, because you see the burn marks. So
You're saying the film is there to keep the smoke from, okay, got it.
Yeah, and if you don't want that burned look, like it's nice that the film takes that off for you, but I feel like if I'm gonna cut something that's not a proof-grade material, I'm gonna need to play with the power probably, so it doesn't create that like hard burn if I don't want that look.
We actually have something that we've named over the course of this call. It's called the David feature. And that's where you get an array of little fans that you lay in front and it blows all the smoke away. So there's the solution. David's on this call and you can always tap into his know-how on that. He's trying to upgrade from a 6-fan system to a 27-fan system.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Elizabeth,
yeah,
what is the size of that piece?
8 hold on.
8 by 10.
8 by 10. Sorry, 8 by 10.
Okay, thanks. That's beautiful. Very beautiful.
Yeah,
It is
very
beautiful.
nice.
Thanks. So I painted the film of the garden, thinking that maybe, like I painted over it, thinking that the grooves that created the garden would be dark green, but you can't really tell much of a difference. But when I peeled off that film, some of it remained where you can see it, and I thought that looked pretty cool. So I just left.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so there's like kind of the depth you can see, and I painted the date and the place in gold. There's star. Oh, that's Derek.
Hello, Derek. So
Yeah.
you left the film on and then you painted and then you pulled the film off afterwards?
Yeah, exactly.
And what is the thickness of your material? I mean, how many layers maximum do we have there?
We have, I think, like there are 4 with the frame. 1, 2, no, 3. Jeez. 3. And that material thickness is. That's a good question.
1/8?
Yeah, I want to say it's a little thicker than 1/8.
Okay.
I don't think it's labeled on the. Oh wait, hold on. I have some scrap.
Hey, so for those of you who don't know, Elizabeth's an architect. That's why she can do all this stuff.
That's the thickness. It looks bigger than a 1/8, but smaller than a 1/4 to me.
Okay, yeah.
Here I have a tape measure.
Probably 4 millimeters.
Hold on.
The lady's running for calipers, I'm betting. With this crowd, you can have that expectation. They're probably in the top 5 of everybody's favorite tool list.
Oh no, it is an 1/8.
Okay,
I'm
you did
wrong.
know when you held it up as though it was a little thicker than that, but
It did, right? I thought so too, but no, it's an 1/8.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, it looks absolutely fantastic. It's really too bad that it can't go to Malini and Owen.
Well, it is. It's there now. I don't think they've received it yet. So Ravi went to the wedding. Sienna and I stayed here
But they-
for safety
But
reasons.
this was where the reception was supposed to be, right?
No. So this is where they'll get married tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot that stop.
No. It's okay.
Originally, you had done it for where the reception was going to be.
Yeah.
We're not
so
seeing that now.
I drew this for their invitation. It's their invitation.
Oh, yeah.
And I drew this, and so I was gonna laser cut that.
Oh, I see. Got it.
But I feel like that wouldn't be so nice now. Like, oh, sorry, you're not gonna get to hang out there.
You remember that year you couldn't get married because of a pandemic?
Right? Yeah. So hopefully they'll like this. Sorry,
Yeah,
we
no,
can
it's great.
unchair.
Very
Stop
nice.
share. I was like, we don't have to stare at this.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Hey,
There we go.
Alan, the way that we were able to get so many people sharing this time, I think made this particular one pretty special. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think it.
Really appreciate you joining, Elizabeth.
Well, thanks for having me. I have to go back and watch the videos so I can see everyone else's stuff.
But you know, you realize you saved me because Travis was giving me a ration because there were no women on this SIG. So you saved it.
No problem.
Thank you for being here.
See, Travis? See, there is women on this SIG.
I don't know if I should say well done, Alan, but you know.
Well done, Elizabeth, for signing in.
There you go.
There we go. Exactly.
Alan, you can pay her later.
Yeah. Do you need my address?
Hey, I got plenty of cardboard.
Venmo.
So that's something for. So I was going to put this out and I forgot about it. So there's a place called Cow Auctions. It's online. They do like businesses that are going out of business. They auction off everything that was in the business. There is a woodworking shop in San Marcos that's liquidating everything, and I'm talking most of the stuff there is not stuff that a normal person would even think about putting in their garage, house, residence. I mean, I'm talking like 36-inch wide belt sanding machines that run on 440 or whatever. But there's a lot of wood, and they're selling a lot of hardwood there in lots, big lots of hardwood. And it was going for, I looked at it like 2 nights ago, it was like $70 for this huge lot of stuff. But they do have blowers, the jet air filtration units. We got a whole bunch of those, and they've had quite a few dust extraction units. So if you're interested in those, I think the auctions goes off like the middle of this month, maybe towards the end. But you have to pick it up within 24 hours. There's a whole lot of goofy rules. You can read them on there. But like I said, if you're looking for some wild things that you can think of in a cabinet shop, I was going to call Dallas and see if he wanted to look for anything for the member shop out of there, because there's some big equipment that might fit in someplace.
The whole space, there's the whole issue of the shop and space is a real challenge. But
yeah. Well, but you know, what I was thinking was there were some things. There was a 15-inch joiner, you know, and things like that maybe
could swap out.
Yeah, maybe you swap a smaller one out for a bigger one or something.
Yeah.
But I'll give him a call Monday or something. And
Yeah, he's actually in Montana for the next 2 weeks. But
okay.
I want to share one more thing, Alan, if you've got another minute. Because you mentioned wood, if you guys are curious about a good supply of inexpensive wood, in 2 weeks' time, on the 25th of July, on Saturday, we're going to do another one of our virtual shop tours. And this time it's going to be of a group called Lumber Cycle. Lumbercycle.org. I put it in the chat. Lumbercycle takes fallen trees or other large wood that would otherwise just go to a dump, and it has a kiln, and it has several mills, and it's a nonprofit trying to repurpose urban lumber. And so not only is it inexpensive and it's discounted for our members, and anything you buy ends up giving a little money to the San Diego Fine Woodworkers Association. So even if you have no interest right now, just knowing that this resource is there, he's going to be doing this virtual tour from their facility in National City, which is where their store is. And he's going to show us a slideshow of his lot where all the wood is kept in Ramona, and up in, I think it's Carlsbad, where they have their mill and where they have their kiln. And so you'll be able to see the entire operation, but best of all, you're able to see the final product and at least know that there's a good source of inexpensive wood, that they've actually joined an alliance nationwide to grade that kind of repurposed lumber. So you know you're getting stuff which, for instance, it doesn't have any bugs, that doesn't have any metal in it, that is dried to a certain level. So there's even quality standards in this. So I just want to encourage you. I think it's Saturday, and it is that Saturday. It was 24th of the 25th, and it's at 10 a.m. It'll just be another one of those things you register for in Punch Pass. But that's the next upcoming shop tour, and I just wanted to use this opportunity to tell you guys about it.
All right. Okay, so in a parting shot, does anybody have anything they want to, that they can think of that they would like to have as a good topic discussion? Either they, you guys come up with something and you go through it, or maybe one of us knows something that you want to know and we can do it. But if you want to share that, you can always email me, or you can always email Travis, because I'm sure he never gets enough email.
Alan, I do actually have one suggestion, and it's because we have Elizabeth here and she's at a Glowforge. I happened to have been at Maker Faire when the Glowforge was just a glimmer in someone's eye, and I watched the story play out over 5 or 6 years. It's just remarkable how long it took, but the notion was a consumer appliance. It was a laser cutter. I'd be very interested if, Elizabeth, if you could think about this, showing us the workflow, not of your other professional software, but of their user interface, the way they scan the bed, the camera, the materials that they have. It's so distinctly different, and I believe it's fundamentally important because it brings laser cutting more close to the mainstream. And I personally would just like to see, even though it's got an expensive consumables model, and the laser itself was what, $5,000–6,000?
I think we got ours for 4,000, but yeah, I think nowadays that's how much it is.
Right. I'm just suggesting that would, I'm just speaking selfishly here, I would be very interested in hearing the story of the Glowforge and to be able to see the screen, how you work with it and that sort of thing. So just keep it in mind, if that was something you'd be willing to do, that's one that I would like to hear.
Oh, sure. I probably would need a little bit of guidance on how I can show you the laser cutter and then share my screen to make sure you can see what I'm trying to do. And
we would even do a dry run beforehand. It just requires you to have your computer that you have right now, plus your phone.
Got it.
And get the Zoom client on that, and that's really all you need. And then you just sign out as 2 different people.
Okay.
And then your camera, we just toggle back and forth. You say, I want to use my phone, and then we go see stuff on the machine. You come back and we toggle back to your laptop. It's pretty straightforward. If we can make it work for Mark Stuke, we can certainly make it work for you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can probably.
Ouch.
I don't even know what he's talking about, Mark, so don't feel bad.
Well, you have to go back to the beginning because there was a whole thing about throwing zingers around. So
I just wanted to see if he was awake.
He looks a little spacey.
Sorry.
He did.
This is a tough crowd tonight.
I know.
Any other suggestions for Alan on that?
Yeah, Ellen, what I would like to see is just some rules of thumb for making grayscale. In other words, is it better to go slow, light power, fast, low power, general line spacing, just some rules of thumb. I've played with it, and it just seems like I bounce all over until I get something that's approximately acceptable. And I know there's some rules of thumb, I just don't know what they are.
I call them the rules of David.
That's what I was about to say. Hey, David, do you think you could do one like that?
I mean, it depends on what you're going for. Are you talking about grayscale to get different colors or to get depth?
Alan, say both.
Yes.
I take a
I mean, I've done both.
Yes,
So
you have.
I think, David, is the thing is yeah, it's just a real light coating of your what you did with your my favorite
My Little Pony.
My Little Pony thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm posting it right now.
that's but that would be a good topic to go through and have people ask some questions, because I think it's like, it is. Do you go faster and more power, slower and less power? What's the difference in what can you do with, you know, more dots per inch. I did see a really cool one the other day about where somebody was tilting the lines instead of going horizontally and vertically. They tilted the pattern so it was going at a diagonal, and they spaced them out instead of making them closer. And then they did one pass going at 45 degrees and the other pass going at 285 or whatever it is the other way, and it was a really cool effect. But,
Yeah, I mean, I've not done that much testing wise. Well, beyond what I've shown you guys before in meetings.
yeah.
Recently, I haven't done any lasering this year.
Well, we can use your past testing though, because you've done more.
Yeah,
testing. Most of us do trial and error. You do testing.
Well, yeah.
Right, Travis is laughing. Yeah,
It's true. It's true, man. It's true.
Yeah, so I posted in the chat 2 links, one to the grayscale that's for color and one that's grayscale for 3D. And both of them show the settings I used. So you can at least have that as a starting point.
cool. That sounds good.
Good one, Jim.
So, let's we'll if Elizabeth can come up with something, we won't have to do that. I mean, we can do that next month. We can figure something out on the Glowforge. That would be really cool to hear.
There's still so much I'm learning, but I'm happy to share with you what I have encountered so far. Like even looking at this, the etching, I did make one thing for Father's Day for Robbie, this frame, and I took it must have been, I think it was a JPEG, and the Glowforge software turned it into a rasterized, well, it was a rasterized image. So it turned it into something that it made a grayscale. And like you can choose, do you want it to do like a pixelated dot look or something else? Oh. And I don't love the way it turned out. If you wait a second, I'll go grab it actually. I don't love the way that it turned out. And so I'm curious what I can do to make it look the way I want it to look, and I just don't know what's possible. But Glowforge does have a lot of forums that I've been reading recently, so I'm hoping to learn something along the way.
Cool.
Yeah. I guess my question, and it's pretty elementary, is just like best gluing practices, because I don't feel like I'm gluing things like my sandwich that I made. The edge is not as nice as I would have liked it, and I don't know, like, do I need tiny vices? Like, what's the best way to align things? Like, I feel like I don't know the best way to do it.
I wonder if Randy and Alan know that. You guys, there's the answer, little tiny clips.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Do you set a frame for yourself? Like, do you make another, like a device to set it in so that everything's square? Because I feel like my fingers trying to make it square isn't good enough.
For like the frame you made,
yeah,
I just stand it on its end and then start clamping around the sides, because that's what I made. We made shadow boxes for the for Gary for the sale,
holiday gift sale.
Holiday gift sale. I knew what I was talking about. Yeah.
And then do you take a brush and brush the wet glue so that it like dries flat? Because I tried the whole like let it dry as a glob.
So here's my other suggestion. Go buy one of these.
Okay,
and
cool.
Don't gloss. You're not going to use that frame to hold up your car seat with. You know, you just want it to stay glued together so it'll hang on the wall. And
so this is too big.
When you squeeze it with both hands from above, yeah, it's too big.
So when you start making that frame 10-foot square, you can use that bottle.
Okay, cool.
But these are like you get 2 of them at Rockler for like $7.
Okay.
I've been using the same one for a year and a half now. So.
Okay.
And Elizabeth, just so you know, Rockler is open. I just found that out today, so that's something to check out.
Okay.
Those little glue bottles are the greatest thing for gluing little stuff together.
I need that. Thank you.
Small, and you put the cap on it, and it stays just like in a regular glue bottle. It won't dry up on you. But if you're absent-minded, like some of us, gray-haired old people, and leave the cap off. A little needle down through the center
sure.
cleans it out.
Yeah, I've used that trick too. Don't worry.
Yeah, the thing that I found for the Mandelbrot sets that I had made, similar thing where you're stacking up the 3mm ply. The first one I did with wood glue, it was a terrible pain in the ass to try and clamp it because I just put something heavy on top and it's sliding all over the place. It was terrible.
Yeah.
The second and third and fourth one, I used super glue, and it was so much easier. All I had to do was I made some jigs so I get in the right alignment. Then I put the glue on there, slap it on, hold it down with my hand, and then it's done. Put the next layer on. It's super quick, and it worked out great for me.
So
Okay,
if you,
cool.
But if you've got,
the only
I imagine if you've got concerns with the edges, if you've got perfectly flat sheets, perhaps it wouldn't be able to get it tight on the very edge. But other than that, I think you'd have a pretty good job.
So I've done some of that, Elizabeth, with the super glue, and what I did was I put like David said, you build something that'll hold it so you don't have to worry about square. And I put the super glue on, and then I take accelerant and squirt on the bottom of the next one. And that accelerant, as soon as the accelerant touches the super glue, it becomes solid. You are not moving it. You don't have to hold it, because literally you press it down hard and let go and it's glued.
Wow.
So
Don't make a mistake.
Yeah, right. Don't miss.
So the other thing is, don't get accelerant on your hand and then get super glue on your hand, because you need acetone then to sort of like get it apart, or you just rip your skin off.
Yeah, the other thing I found, specifically for super glue, for storage wise, for a long time I had a problem when I'd buy like the 1 ounce container or whatever of thin stuff, and I'd use it once and then come back in a few months and it's totally solid. And I found the easiest storage method is to put it inside of a Ziploc bag and then put that in a mason jar and store it in the freezer. And then you just have to take it out the day before you need it. And I've had it going for years now, and it works great for the same jar.
Cool.
Because the only thing you have to make sure is you don't get any condensation on it before it warms up to room temperature.
Right.
Okay.
I just keep it in the refrigerator.
Hey, Elizabeth, just because people are offering you advice, and I know
You don't
we're
have to take it.
wrap one more piece, just because this is probably something most everybody on the group knows, except someone who's new to the lasering. But our favorite material for working with is this 3mm Baltic birch from TH&H. So if you're going to be expanding beyond what you've been getting from Glowforge directly, and you really want to have some consistently good quality flat stock to work with, the 3 and 5mm Baltic birch from TH&H are really good. I mean, if I were to ask people to raise their hands if they like that material, I'm sure every one of these little pictures here would, Jim, raise your hand. You like it? There you go. See?
Nice.
It
Okay.
really is good stuff. Also, when it comes to working with acrylics, we've got these suppliers. Alan, who's the one up north in San Marcos?
MGM.
MGM, and then the other two are Ridout and San Diego Plastics. And when we talk about these things, we always tell people that they have their cutouts bins, where for $1 or $2 a pound, depending upon the luck of the draw, you can find some incredible variety and some really incredible prices on acrylics that you might want to use in projects. So I think probably several of us, if we were honest, would admit to periodically stopping by those places and checking out the bins, because it's just whatever's left over from jobs when they couldn't use a full sheet. And they cut it down to certain sizes and they make it available. But when it's $1 or $2 a pound, depending upon where you're going, it's an incredible deal. So another good source of material to try out with your Glowforge.
The only thing about San Diego Plastics, you might have to wait for the raccoon to get out of the bin before you go in there.
And it's really a deep bin. You have to get way over the edge. And yeah, I mean, I'm a tall guy and I still have a hard time reaching down there. I wish I had one of those arm claws, you know, to go out and get the pieces. It's not easy. But the ones at Ridout are very nicely stacked. And the only thing you have to know is that you should not be getting certain materials. You want acrylic, and you probably would prefer cast acrylic over extruded acrylic. And the only rule of thumb that isn't 100% true, but if you want to make sure it's acrylic, if it's got a paper coat on it as opposed to a plastic coat or no coat, it's likely to be acrylic. But I'd go by the words that are on it if you can find words, and if not, the staff inside is usually able to tell you what the material is and answer the question, is this safely used in a laser? Then you've got some new materials to mess around with. But give those a shot.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
I have a bunch of cardboard from gifts I've ordered for Siren for her birthday coming up. So I'm just going to cut that down to Glowforge size and do some experimenting.
Good idea. Good idea. Sounds like a very cost-effective material to be using. Yes.
All right.
So I have, I call it shirt board, but it's just it's the real thin cardboard that they put in shirts.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
I get that. My son has a comic book store, and all the comic books boxes come with like 10 pieces, 5 on either side. So I have cases of that. So if anybody needs some of that, let me know, and I will share. And that's what I use a lot of times if I'm just making templates or playing with something to see if it'll fit together or something. I'll use that. It's free. It cuts fast.
Yeah.
Alan, can I go get a beer?
I think it's, is that, well, can we say it's Miller time anymore? Nobody drinks.
Who wants a Miller time? It's time for my IPA. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there you go.
San Diego.
Yeah, it's San Diego. Nobody drinks a canned beer anymore. All right. We'll see everybody again in a couple of weeks, the 23rd, I think. Travis maybe will teach me how to log on first so we don't have to wait on everybody.
Sorry about that, guys. Thank you, Alan.
It's okay.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.